Hello, friends, and welcome to your Tuesday edition of the Kings of Anglia podcast. A day late, but still sounding great, of course, after Ipswich Town played live on ITV4 against non-league Bracknell Town in the first round of the FA Cup last night. Nothing could go wrong, and in the end, nothing did go wrong. They eased to a 3-0 win, and we're all here to break that down today. Mark Heath with the three Kings who would be top of my Christmas card list if I still sent Christmas cards old-fashioned. And that is, of course, Mike Bacon, Stuart Watson, Andy Warren, Stuart, the Dr. Watson. How the bloody ruddy hell are you?
Me?
Yeah, you.
Specifically me. Okay. Yeah, I'm very well, thank you.
You. The reason I come to you first is because you were just showing you've already started buying Christmas presents. And that was a Christmas-themed intro. So, yeah. Did the kids still do that, by the way? I used to hate that at school when your parents used to make you write Christmas cards and give them to the other kids in school. Is that still a thing?
Becoming less of a thing. I'm not sure. It's becoming a bit of a 50-50 split, I think.
It always used to get political as well, didn't it? I don't want to give Johnny a card. He's a bell end. And then Johnny gives you one. And then you've got to give him one. And then it all goes around and people will miss that. Anyway, I digress. Hutchie, you've also got a young child. Will she be giving out Christmas cards at school this year?
It's not been discussed yet, but my vivid memory of Christmas cards at school is my friend Dave, who one year sent a Christmas card to a girl in our class, year 3 this was, called Fran. And at the bottom, he just put "P.S. I hate you" at the bottom of the card, and that stirred up some politics because there was, at the following Christmas, there was some real discussion over whether Christmas cards should be allowed to be sent, whether Dave was allowed to send Christmas cards. I think he then went and spent a year in New Zealand actually with his family after that. So I don't know if that was kind of banishment.
This wasn't egg mayonnaise, Dave, was it?
No, Sam is egg mayonnaise.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, eggy mayo. He's a good.
Nowadays, of course,
he's a good lad. Is eggy.
Nowadays, of course, Dave would have been expelled or at least suspended for that kind of language in a Christmas card to a fellow student. Mike, I imagine you've sent lots of cards in your lifetime. I also imagine that you'd make an excellent Father Christmas. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you, Heath. Yes, very much so. I think I would make a good father. I never actually wanted to do the job, though, to be honest, be a Father Christmas. I got shortlisted once, but there was a bit of a hoo-ha over it, to be honest. I won't go into it, but at the end of the day, it was a case of, I won't go into it because it's a Father Christmas thing. But I used to send Valentine cards at Christmas, which I always felt was quite a nice thing to do because it's sort of, I got the Valentine cards out there early. I'd see who responded, and then I was ready for Valentine's Day, if you see what I mean.
Okay.
Rather than make a complete fool of myself on Valentine's Day, sending cards to people who weren't interested.
Testing the pool early. Nice. Like it from Bacon. And of course, you won't go into the Father Christmas thing because it's total nonsense. You've just completely made it up. Anyway, where were you going to be Father Christmas, Mike, just out of interest?
Sorry?
Where were you going to be Father Christmas? You said you were on a short list.
Well, I wasn't a shortlist. I was a shortlist at, it was my school, actually. And I went back to school. I was invited back because I've been one of the students who have been a successful student at my school. You know, you have little boards where they say these successful students, and my name was up there, successful student. Well, I know it was up there because I put it up there because there was a friend of mine, Paul, who used to work for the Rugby League England, and his name was up there with a little plaque. And I went back to school one day for something else, for a fete, I think it was. And I wasn't there, my name, so I made my own plaque and went back and put it up. And that was where the hoo-ha started.
Your ability to...
Then I'm on the short list of Father Christmas, and someone queried why my plaque was there because it wasn't there last week.
Your ability to craft stories never fails to amaze me, Mike. Someone said, actually, that you should be our KOA representative on Would I Lie to You? And I think that you'd be made for that. You'd be akin to Bob Mortimer as like the god of that show. And I think you'd be right up there with your creative raconteur ability. Anyway, friends, thanks for joining me today. Let's talk about Ipswich Town at Bracknell last night, shall we? Live on ITV4, like I say. Job done, professional job done. But what I'm more interested in, really, than the game itself and the score and who played well, which is all a bit meh, is the occasion itself, because this kind of game is the only thing that you get in FA Cup games, especially at this stage. Town at this minnow of a side. We've had the boys on, obviously, from Bracknell. It looked great on TV. So, boys, Andy and Stewie, what was it like actually being there? Because if you've not watched Game Day, go back and watch it, because Rossi's done a brilliant job giving a flavour of the sights and the sounds of the day. And one of the things I was most excited about and pleased to see was Andy's little face reviewing Wings and Tings, which genuinely, Andy, is, I think, the happiest I've ever seen you. most excited and animated, reviewing this Wings and Tings, which you were very keen to ask Kane SB about on our shows. So take us away, Hutchie. What was it like for you?
Do you want to start? Should we just start with Wings and Tings?
Absolutely, we should. Yeah.
Start with that. I think Wings and Tings needs to expand and grow out of its current form because it's exceptional.
Exceptional.
Ipswich Town's fan zone could learn a thing or two from that. They should be a staple at festivals. I'm sure they are, and big events because they were really, really tasty, and I really enjoyed it. And that's my one takeaway from the night. And I've got nothing else to add really about the Bracknell game. Just some very, very tasty chicken wings.
Talk me through it then. Why was it so tasty? Are we, as the name suggests, were they chicken wings? Were there any other parts of the chicken available? What was it served with? What were the sauce? What were the flavors mellowing in your mouth?
Well, there was a whole board of sauces. Yeah, yes, it was chicken wings. That is the mark of a good kind of street food place is a small menu, small and focused. And that's what I'm just going to get the picture up to remind myself. That's what Wings and Tings was. It was very focused. You could have some chicken wings, or you could have some sort of boneless version of that with a few bits and bobs on the side. Came with some chips. They were very nice, but it's the flavors of the sauces that did it for me. I had the Ting, which is their original sauce, spicy, sweet, smoky, delicious, the best-selling hot sauce. Very nice. Then there's buffalo, honey tom yum, which I believe is what you had, Stu. Teriyaki, smoky barbecue, Jamaican jerk, or the extra hot mango scotch, which we stayed away from. But yeah, very, very good. And
I loved it. I genuinely loved it. If you've not seen it, go back and watch that little review, because if you want to ever see Hotchie reaching peak excitement at a time when you can only reach with kits, I thought, go back and watch that. Stu, you were standing next to him when he was shaking with excitement about the chicken. You had a Tom Yum. What was that like?
Very nice. Very nice indeed. Listeners might be thinking, oh, they're giving Wings and Tings a bit of publicity here. They clearly got a freebie. We didn't. Now, this was £10 a portion, so not cheap. But
and Stu, I've lost my receipt, so I can't claim it back through work either. But I don't care on this occasion.
Regrets.
No regrets.
I think that would have exceeded the expenses you allowed for a meal anyway, boys. So I'd have rejected it clearly. Stewie, did you have a German sausage as well?
I didn't know. Ross had a German sausage.
Good, excellent. That's also on the game day, isn't it? What about the occasion then, Stu? Talk to me about the wider occasion, because you'd said very clearly you wanted foil wrapped FA Cup cutouts. We got plenty of those. You wanted the kind of special cup magic feel. Did you get it?
I did, yeah. I was in the pub over the road before the game. I went to meet a friend who lives in that part of the world, and there's a few Ipswich fans in there, and immediately a young Ipswich fan came over to show me his tinfoil wrapped cardboard cutout FA Cup proudly, which was nice. Word had got out that I was keen to see some, and the people delivered. So there was plenty of those waving about on the night. So that was the first box ticked. It felt to me walking into that ground like I was experiencing a piece of football heritage, something that I've watched from afar on TV over the years, but have never actually been part of myself. And it suddenly felt like walking onto like a film set, almost something that you've seen from afar. Had the scaffolding put up behind the goals with the cameramen sort of perched on top. A ground surrounded by sort of trees and fans all packed in. It was just, it's something that Ipswich haven't experienced for a long, long time, and probably and hopefully won't experience for a long, long time going forwards again. So, it was different. It was interesting, but it was a reminder to me that there's still a lot of romance left in this competition in the early stages. It's lost as you get into the latter rounds, no doubt about it. But it was nice to be involved in last night. Lots of smiles all round, I think.
I thought the trees especially looked great on the TV, swaying in the wind, a reminder of where they were playing. Hutchie, talk to me more about the occasion and the surroundings you found yourself in. Again, on game day, there's footage of the town players and coaches walking in the dark to the ground, which is a new one for them. Bloomers, one of the KOA fan social guys, one of the KOA army, tweeted a picture of the route to the away end, which basically looks like a cross between a horror film and a trudge through a forest into the dark. And also, I noticed in your post-game reaction, boys, you were subbed on for Ian Wright and Darren Bent at some point as well.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a minute. That was part of the game experience and a useful substitution it was. But it felt like, kind of approaching the game, it felt like everyone was going to a fireworks display. It's kind of how it felt to me, like the odd puddle, some trees, different routes through the trees. Because there was some tickets that needed to be collected from Ipswich fans at one gate, and so you could get in at another one, and that was a little path through the trees. And yeah, that kind of dark trudge down a path for the team to get there is what all the fans did to get there before the game, but the team did it too, which is a bit different for them, and that was fun and all part of it. But when you got through the trees, when you got to the fireworks display, you got it's a pretty modern football club. This isn't kind of some quaint old football club here. This is a football club who are modern. They've got some great facilities. The ground is all very sturdy. Mike, you'll know, non-league grounds, some are great, some are not so great. This is in the great category. Everything very solid. Black is their colour for the ground. It's all black. Nice identity. The bar looks really nice, sort of glass-fronted bar area. And the festival that Kane told us was going to be the feel for this. I think that's fair. It was Wings and Tings helped that, but there was like music and like temporary bars that you see put up at festivals, marquees that were put up at either end. Horrific Portaloo toilets. Everything you'd want and expect from a festival. Those Portaloo toilets in pitch black are tough to negotiate, but I got it done.
Good. I'm glad to hear. You shouldn't hold it in. It's bad for you.
No, you shouldn't. Ross does that. He's a holder in that boy.
He'll turn him inside out one day.
He'll pay for it, won't he?
Absolutely, he will in later life.
You can't do that for any period of time and get away with it.
The arrogance of youth. Mike, me and you are both youthful, obviously. We were watching at home. What did you make it as a spectacle? Because it was that kind of magic of the FA Cup sort of game, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, and it looked good on TV as well. Actually, it reminded me. The ground actually reminded me of Burgess Hill, which is down in Sussex. They're a non-league ground with lots of trees around it. And I liked, Andy. I love that assessment of walking to a firework display. That's brilliant. I mean, that is exactly how I imagined it was. I wasn't there, obviously, but I've been to play in non-league grounds. But yes, you approach these places from all sorts of different angles. There's never a huge, big concrete area in front of the main sort of area you walk into. You invariably nip through a back gate or perhaps just like I say, just walks through the trees. It looked good on TV. I imagine your views, boys, weren't quite as special as you have perhaps at some of the other League One grounds, Championship, even Premier League grounds, which I know some of you boys have been to. I noticed Stu said in one of his tweets, I believe it's something like, I think that's half time. I didn't see much of the actual town goal, to be honest, at one end. So I
they'd taken like a small it was like a little mini stand that was ran along the length of the penalty box that Ipswich attacked in the second half, and they turned that into the sort of media stand for the night. Obviously, a lot of media interest in the game. ITV covering it, Talk Sport were there, BBC, Home and Away, various different people, and they put us in there, but. We were about 2-3 rows back from there, and fans weren't really meant to be standing in front of that bit, but they did start to spill out in front of there, which is fine. They're more important than us, clearly, but it meant that Andy and I couldn't see the goal to our far right-hand side, the goal that Ipswich were attacking in the first half. So there were some times Brenna Woolley on BBC Co-Coms was just behind us with Stuart Ainsley, that they just had to hold their hands up and say something's happening in that far corner. Not really sure what. And that was kind of our view of the game in the first half. But all that changed after the break.
Yeah, that is where the quick, nimble feet of Andy and Stu, quick thinking. because like 10 minutes into the first half, obviously everyone would have watched at home and would have seen that Darren Bent and Ian Wright and were with Mark Pugach for the game. Sort of 10 minutes into the first half, once they'd finished doing their intro to the bit, they'd made their way all around the ground, and they had the back row of this this stand that Stu mentioned, and you can stand on the back row obviously because there's nobody behind you. But they didn't reappear for the second half. I think they might have found a better vantage point than that somewhere. But we were very quick to nip in there and upgrade. And when we got there, not only did we find that we could see both goals, and that there was a desk for laptops to go on, there was also a screen with the game being played and replays on it. So we were living like kings in the second half.
Famine to feast. Yeah.
Quite
It's not the best double substitution, is it? When you're taking off Ian Wright and Darren Bent, how many goals have they got between them? How much would they be worth in today's game? And then you're bringing on Watson and Warren for the second half.
Yeah, but could Darren Bent write a live match report? I doubt it. Could Ian Wright give you sensible ratings within minutes of the final?
He was living the game though. No, he couldn't. He
Mm.
couldn't file those things for the newspaper. But he was loving it. Just hear from behind. You could hear him kind of bouncing on his heels, and he was loving Kyle Edwards and he was loving Kane Vincent Young. Every time they got the ball, he was just like, wow. And he was properly kind of living the game. He did have to ask whether it went straight to penalties or a replay or not. So I questioned the research that maybe went into the tie before it happened. But he was loving the game, and yeah, when he arrived at the ground through the trees, the welcome that he got was incredible. Like Ian Wright, from so many people were absolutely buzzing to see Ian Wright. And then this one little voice just went, because he arrived with Darren Bent, this one little voice just went, "Hiya, Darren," and
that was you.
Yeah, just like, "Hiya, Darren, how are you, mate?" Yeah, and that made Darren Bent smile. But Ian Wright, what a hero!
I'm not often starstruck in football, but seeing Ian Wright, I was a little bit starstruck. What a striker he was in the day, hey? And what a brilliant pundit he's been on in football.
Yeah, he's got an aura, isn't he? There's an aura about him.
Yeah, he was, and we heard some nice little anecdotes sort of during the game in the first half. He started talking about his experience of playing in games against lower league opposition, and I don't know what game this would have been in, but he talked about Paul Gascoigne. Whenever he played against lower level opposition like that, his mission would just be to tire them out. And so whoever was man marking him, he would just run to all four corners of the pitch and just make this player follow them. He'd follow him to one corner flag, then the other corner flag, and just literally knacker him out so that the fitness kind of shone through. So, yeah, all in all, it was a really nice occasion. The first thing we saw when we walked in was the guy you might have seen on Ross's game day video who had
the half and half face.
A follically challenged gentleman, much like myself, had his entire head painted in black and red. If you looked at him side on, he looked like Darth Maul from Star Wars. But yeah, it just felt like proper football, and it was a reminder of how precious the English football pyramid is. I think, and the whole pyramid all the way down is so important to sort of the lifeblood of English football.
Super. I interviewed Darth Maul once. That's a story for another day.
What?
Shall we move on to the game?
No. Can it be a story for now?
Well, yeah, I interviewed Darth Maul once. That's the story.
Why?
He was in Bury at a kind of a fan event, and being as I was a young reporter working for the Bury Free Press, I was duly dispatched to meet said superstar, and do the classic local newspaper reporter questioning. Do you like Bury? What do you make of Bury? It's lovely here, isn't it? Do you like Suffolk? That kind of stuff.
Was he dressed up?
No. It's very disappointing that he wasn't. He was very, very normal and incredibly nice and down to earth, as these people always are. I got him to sign a poster for my nephew, who's a big Star Wars fan. So I interviewed Darth Maul, and my wife has interviewed Darth Vader. So there you go. There's a claim to fame between the two of us.
Did he like Bury?
Of course he liked Bury, yeah. He said he loved it, and he'd definitely be coming back.
I'm sure he has. Some great eateries in Bury. He'd have loved that.
I'm sure he's been back many times. Yeah, the jewel in Suffolk's crown. Right then, friends, let's talk about the football, shall we? We've done 20 minutes or so on the occasion, which was great. the football when it came, first half was quite scrappy as Town endeavoured to tire out Bracknell. I must say, by the way, Bracknell, well played, Bracknell. They really run themselves into the ground, didn't they? They gave it all on the night. Fantastic stuff. And Mike, when I spoke to you about the game earlier, you said it's exactly what you expected when a kind of top tier football league side, or League One side in this case, face a non-league side. You often get this sort of game.
Yeah, I mean, it went as I expected, to be honest. Ipswich Town were always going to come out and try and play football, keep possession, wear them out. But someone who's watched a lot of non-league teams are always going to come at you. The first half an hour particularly, they're going to be wound up into a frenzy, and they're going to come, and they're not going to let you just pass the ball around at the back and try and roll it out from the keeper and do all the stuff you want to do. I thought Ipswich might play a bit more long ball first half, to be honest, and just try and turn at Bracknell a bit more, but they didn't. They kept, and that's probably what got a bit frustrating, because Bracknell were really up for it and were chasing and harrying everything. It's never going to last, of course, and that's why the pro team, the pro club comes through. But and Ipswich did excellent. Very professional performance, and it worked out. But at half time, you're sort of 0-0, and you're like, gosh. But it was nothing more than just I'll talk about Burton later on. Just going Burton need a market, and I've seen so many. I remember going to Haybridge, Bristol City. I've seen Leiston play FA Cup match against clubs, and league clubs come and want to play as if it's a league game and hold on the ball and knock it about. And non-league clubs are not going to let you do that. Non-league players are not going to let you do that. They're going to charge and run around, and of course eventually get completely knackered. But at least, it's good. But I enjoyed the game. I thought Ipswich had it really well. Nice to actually watch a game. Well, I didn't actually think a game like that, which could have been a bit slippery, and I never thought Ipswich Town were going to lose. Not at one point in the whole game did I ever think Ipswich were going to lose this game. I can't say that about the Lincoln game, and I couldn't say about the Barrow game, but I could easily say, and bear in mind Ipswich are away from home, so at home I would never expect them to lose anyway. But yeah, it could have been tricky, but it never felt tricky, if you know what I mean.
It's because he picked the perfect team. I think they absolutely nailed the team selection. That was a few different personnel, obviously, but that's the kind of team that I wanted Ipswich to pick. And they nailed that. I think they nailed how they handled the occasion. They didn't panic in the upsets happen when the league team panic, don't they? When they're made to panic, and Ipswich didn't. They were given opportunities to panic, but they didn't take that chance to panic. And I think they just handled everything that came at them as part of this game perfectly, and got the result that I think we all, deep down, despite the ghosts of FA Cup Christmas past, deep down we all knew they would get. And it came in the end.
There does need to be a bit of context here in terms of Bracknell aren't Lincoln. We talk about the ghosts of the past. Lincoln were an upwardly mobile National League side. We're now this Bracknell team is 2 divisions below what Lincoln were then. So it's a lesser opposition when we talk about the upsets that Ipswich have suffered in the past, and Ipswich are in a far better place than they were when they tripped up in those previous games. So it was always highly, highly unlikely in this game that anything was going to happen. The one concern was probably the set pieces and high balls into the box, a bit of a swirling wind. Bracknell, by all accounts, set pieces are one of their stronger points, and they certainly whipped in some good in swingers into the box. So for Ipswich to kind of repel those quite comfortably, and a few long throws into the box and see out that clean sheet, I think was probably one of the biggest positives of last night, off the back of the goals conceded against Port Vale and Charlton and the nature of those. So I'm sure they'll take a lot from the clean sheet as much as the goals that they scored. And
I'll tell you one thing, what I did think was interesting and important was that when you play a non-league side, they're going to get at you, and they're going to make it as physical as they can. There's going to be mistimed tackles and all sorts. And I thought Carl Edwards was so brave in his play. He often took players on, even though he knew he was going to get clattered most of the time, and more times than not, he was going to get clattered. And Carl Edwards took players on one after the other. I mean, and I thought he was outstanding. I thought the way he attacked players who he knew were basically going to chop him down, is that that's because he was just too good for them. But he was going to always give it a go, get free kicks, have goes, things like. That's the sort of person you need in your team. Going back to team selection, and he's absolutely spot on, of course, with Keogh and Burgess at the back for a start. And then Edwards up front, just run at him and just win those free kicks.
But that's the danger, Mike, isn't it? If they had gone for the kind of complete rotation of, it's a bit difficult to talk about this with Ipswich because there's an element of kind of rotation that we see with certain areas of the pitch anyway. But if the danger would have been if you'd picked an 11 of undercooked players, which we've seen in previous managers would have done, undercooked players, you don't then have a brave Kyle Edwards. You'd have brought in a Kyle Edwards that hasn't been playing, and you wouldn't get that from these players. But I think all of them had a reason to be on the pitch that night, and the reason wasn't because these guys just need a game, other than the goalkeeper. Which
in
is
the
obviously
past, when it's 10, 11 changes, it's felt probably like a punishment to those players. Very clearly, you are our reserve / backup team, and we're just chucking you some minutes here. But it's like that team wouldn't have looked out of place in a league game. And Mike Turbot on game day, made a really good point that there isn't a kind of a first team there. Yes, there is a core of 7 or 8 players who are playing most weeks, but I don't feel like there's a sense amongst these players that there's a first team and a bunch of fringe players. McKenna's quite cleverly sort of made everyone feel involved and proper first team players, and those that were picked last night will have seen it as an opportunity rather than a punishment, I think. So that was good.
And very much picking Sam Morsey. I mean, you could easily have rested Sam Morsey. You could have had Ball and dropped Humphreys back a bit and played Chaplin perhaps, or Harness, and he played Morsey. And Morsey, we've all seen how important Morsey is. He's an absolute. He's the pinnacle of that team. They all look to him. He looks, and so you put him on the team list. So when McKenna's reading that team list or puts it up, and there's Sam. So Sam Morsey's good enough to play, and the rest of them look around and think, well, if Sam Morsey's it. This is it. I'm not saying we've never been seriously unplayed, but I thought that's a big decision and a right decision.
I guarantee you as well, Sam Morsey would have wanted to play.
Yeah,
he's that sort of character, isn't he?
I think they all want to play, genuinely, and that's the great thing about this squad. They haven't achieved anything yet, of course they haven't, but it's a proper team. Like there's a really good group of people and good group of players here at Ipswich. He's obviously very important to that, Sam Morsey, but I think they would all have wanted to play. I'm sure Christian Walton was itching to play in that game. He'll have understood that it was Hladky, rare opportunity for him, but they'd have all wanted to play in this game. I'm sure of it. And look at the first 2 subs off the bench: Wes Burns and Connor Chaplin. Not particularly fair on Bracknell, but that's how Ipswich treated this.
But this is how McKenna's treating things, isn't it? Previous managers have had exactly that same opportunity to do exactly what McKenna did last night and haven't done it. As Stu said, they've gone with these 10, 11 changes and felt like. And they probably have gone out that pitch thinking, well, we're just like the reserves, really, because come Saturday, 8 of 6 of us will be on the bench and 5 of us might not. McKenna has created this. He's created this situation where, as Stu said, everyone feels, and both of you said, they feel important. Everyone feels important, and that's breeds success.
Great point from Stewie. What did you make then of the players who actually played, boys? We talked about Kyle Edwards. Kane Vincent-Young was, I thought, deservedly man of the match. He looked really lively on the left. What did you make of the display from the players who were on the pitch, Stewie?
Big individual takeaways for me were Kane Vincent-Young, who obviously got man of the match. I think getting him up to speed is really important, especially with Greg Lee being out at the moment. Leif Davis is being asked to play a real high-intensity position 90 minutes week after week, and there's a fear that will catch up on him. So having Kane Vincent, and you could say the same of Janoy Dinassian at right back as well, who's started every league game so far. So Kane's versatility and dynamism, I think having that on show last night was a real big plus. Cameron Humphreys, just outstanding again. What a talent. We've said enough about him, but just such an old head on young shoulders. I thought, he had a hand, I think, in all 3 goals in terms of the build-up, but the 3rd goal in particular, Ipswich had just defended a set piece into the box, and he shows great strength to win the ball back on the touchline. He then shows great footwork to get himself out of a tight spot. He then shows great vision and technique to pick out the pass in midfield. He just looks a real player. So those two, I would say, in terms of individuals, kind of jumped off the page for me in terms of man of the match contenders.
Yeah, Humphreys is a good one, isn't he? He'd normally be worried about playing a young player, especially quite a slight built young player in a game like that. But I thought he was tremendous, as you say, an old head on young shoulders. Hutch, anyone else stand out for you?
With Humphreys, that's again, I think a big plus of play. He's playing with Morsey. He's not. I think if a full rotation could potentially have meant Cameron Humphreys, 19 years old, playing next to a half-fit Panucci Kamara from the start of the game, for example, and then that's another example of asking for trouble, inviting trouble, and then having to deal with it. But by playing Humphreys with Morsey and Don Ball, indeed, the senior players in there, you're giving him the environment to push up to, and that's so important for young players. I question kind of some loans, potentially young players getting sent out on loan to lower levels. That are you just actually bringing their ceiling down to the level that you've sent them to play at? Whereas Humphreys is with Ipswich, and you're raising him up. He's playing with Morsey. It's a proper midfield, and that's massive, I think. And just again, just the selection was nailed, and it allowed Humphreys to play like that.
Anything else from a town point of view? Because I do want to reflect, just briefly, spend a minute talking about Bracknell, because I think we've all got a bit of a soft spot for Bracknell after having Kane and Carl on the show. And I think it would be remiss of us not to have a little chat about what you like from them. So, Stuart, it sounds like you've got something to say.
Freddie Ladapo scoring again. I thought well done for him for keeping his head up during that. He had 3 big chances that came and went, 2 towards the end of the first half, a one-on-one saved in the second half. But good strikers keep going, keep making those runs, keep working hard for the team. I thought some of his link-up play was really good, and he got his rewards with another good run and a close-range finish. I think that's 4 goals in 3 games for him now. He's on 8 for the season, and he looks to me, again, yes, people will say some of these goals have came against in the Papa John's Trophy and against Bracknell, but he looks like he's learning the way McKenna wants, learning McKenna ball now, and he looks like someone who's getting to grips with this lone striker role, and was pleased to see him get his rewards with the goal, and I was pleased to see Panucci Kamara score, and the reaction to that reminded me very much of when Carl Edwards scored the 2 goals against Cambridge, when Cameron Humphreys scored at Port Vale. You can just see how pleased his teammates were. I mean, when Kamara signed, I looked back and did a bit of a profile piece on him. His former manager at Plymouth, Ryan Lowe, talked about him having a heart of gold and big smile on his face, much like Kyle Edwards. And he looks like the Ipswich players have really taken to him. So that team unity is just so clear, and squad unity that we've talked about at Ipswich, all really rooting for each other. Really classy moment from Richard Keogh at the end, going into the Bracknell dressing room and having a word with them. 36-year-old defender who's been there, done it, played in international tournaments and still taking the time to do that. Again, I thought that was a marker of the sort of the culture of humility and respect that Ashton and McKenna and co have kind of got running through the club at the moment. So lots of nice little things to take away from last night. Yes, it was Bracknell, but yeah, all in all, a very good night's work, I think, on and off the pitch.
Yeah, Keogh and Burgess, being able to bring them in for a game like this, what you can ask for much better.
Burgess was great, by the way. I mean, he's back playing with a mask with 30 odd screws in his face, which was only less than 2 months ago or whatever. I thought he had a really good game at centre half as well. That that was another big plus.
Shall we talk just briefly about Bracknell then, boys? Because I say I feel like, and I know quite a few town fans have got a bit of a soft spot for them now, and I thought they played really well as a unit. Yes, they didn't score, and obviously they didn't get the result, but I think in terms of what they would be pleased with this morning, I think they can be very pleased with their display. I was particularly impressed with their keeper. Was it Ecott? And the striker Esprit looked pretty lively until he came off quite early. Mike, is there anyone you were particularly impressed with?
Well, no, I mean, I think again, going back to non-league side playing a league side, the one thing they want to come off after 90 minutes is to know that they've done okay, they've done well, they haven't let themselves down, because that'll be the one. Bracknell weren't expected to win. Let's be honest. From as soon as they kicked off, they weren't expected to win, but they came off that pitch they've given Ipswich Town a proper game, a decent game of football, and that's all. And a strong Ipswich team as well, a decent Ipswich team. It wasn't a team full of kids. So yeah, I thought the goalie was great, made some great saves. Typical, sticking his feet out, hands out, anything out just to stop anything. Pulled his hamstring or damaged his hamstring, carried on playing. And just. But that was a typical non-league display, and not lacking quality either. Let's not belittle non-league. I never, far too many people belittle non-league, and I've been watching it for 20 plus years. There's lots of good players down there who haven't been overnight in a hotel before kickoff. They've been working that day before kickoff, and Bracknell did themselves proud. Obviously, I wasn't there, but the occasions from the boys here sounds absolutely fantastic, well organised, and on that pitch. It's 0-0 at half time, for goodness sake. They couldn't have, their managers wouldn't have asked for any more than that. They don't seriously expect to beat Ipswich 4-0, but if they can come off with their heads held high, I thought they played some nice football at times. They worked hard, and yeah, great. Good for them.
We had the Cole Withers, the joint manager, on, didn't we, on the podcast, and he talked about just wanting to come away with no regrets. And I think that ultimately that is it. They'll feel like they left everything out there. They can hold their heads high. Yes, ultimately the greater fitness and quality showed, but as an evening, as a performance, as an occasion, I don't think they could have done much more, Bracknell.
Yeah, I'll definitely be keeping an eye on Bracknell scores going forward. Be nice to keep that little connection between the sides going, maybe a pre-season friendly or two going forward. Hutchie, in terms of going forward, we're going forward now into the second round of the FA Cup at Portman Road against another non-league side, a step up to the National League North, Buxton, the mighty Bucks of the National League North, and an old friend will be coming back to Portman Road.
Yeah, Tommy Miller's the assistant manager of Buxton, and he'll love that. He was at Portman Road recently for the game with Derby. I probably wasn't expecting to be in a dugout at Portman Road within a month of that, but he will be for a game that, look, if we're being frank about it, it's a game Ipswich 99 times out of 100 you'd hope they'd win it, and if they do, it's round 3. They won't take it lightly. I'm sure they'll prepare for it as they prepare for anybody. But you have to sit here now expecting Ipswich Town to be in round 3 of the FA Cup with a home tie against a National League North team.
And in that respect, you kind of feel again like this season is going the right way. In previous years, you've had draws against the likes of Oldham and Barrow and really boring FA Cup games that are horrible to play. It's kind of a no-win situation, and they go out. But now they've got a path into that third round, Stewie.
You're right about it. Some things just feel like they're falling into place this season. Little things, but that all add up. Like Ipswich have got some, a decent chunk of their travel out the way in the league games. Their schedule's not too bad over Christmas. The midweek games have fallen okay. The cup draws have been okay so far, and it just starts to feel like it all adds to this feeling that this year could be the one. But yeah, Ipswich haven't made it to round 3 since dropping into League One. Last night was great, but it is a little reminder of where Ipswich are at as a football club still, and where they've got to get back to. With the greatest respect, last night was fun, but we don't want Ipswich Town facing teams from step 3 of non-league. It's a reminder of where this club has fallen to. So yeah, getting into big chance to get through to round 3. You know that McKenna's not going to take this lightly. This next game, every chance it could be on TV again. I've had a look at some of the ties. There's not huge numbers that are jumping off the page in terms of excitement, but being at home lessens, I think, the chance of an upset. Ipswich squad is strong enough to rotate and do whatever to get through this game, hopefully. Fingers crossed. And let's see who they could get in round 3, because I think a championship club would be great. Just a real tester. I think Wes Burn was saying this to Andy last night, just to see just how far they've come under Kieran McKenna now, how ready they would be potentially for promotion if they got a championship club or even a Premier League team away from home, and enjoying that as an occasion and seeing what you can get out of it. So, yeah. This
is the season, Stewie. Everton away, third round. It's going to happen. It's going to finally happen for you, and you deserve it. In terms of good omens, as we draw a line under the FA Cup chat, last time Ipswich Town won a live FA Cup game, live on TV, do you know when that was?
Is it the final?
It was the final.
Was it?
Yeah, so McKenna is just the second. Is the last manager to win live on TV was Bobby Robson. So McKenna's the second Ipswich Town manager to win a live FA Cup game on TV, which is pretty remarkable, isn't it? Mike, we've talked about Ipswich Town in the FA Cup. Before we move on, I want to talk about something that you experienced on Saturday, also FA Cup linked. You went for a Burton. You're at Burton, Needham Market there. I've basically got you on so I can ask you just how good Ross Crane was for Needham Market at Burton Albion. What was talk to us about that experience then?
Gone for Burton, Heath. It's priceless. Anyway, so yeah, it was we've all been to Burton before. So Burton versus Needham Market. The same thing as Bracknell versus Ipswich Town, but flipped the other way around. So it was the non-league team away at the League One team. It was tough for Needham Market, but just like Bracknell fans and Bracknell manager and chairman, everyone will wake up this morning and say, we did all right against Ipswich. We gave them at Needham exactly the same at Burton, did exactly the same. 1-0 down after about 35 minutes. Held them. Burton had a lot more of the ball than in the first half that Ipswich had the first half against Bracknell. They were the home side. That's why Burton were completely bossing it. They took the lead after 34 minutes. And then Needham just worked so hard and held them. And bizarrely, in the last 10 minutes, they had 2 or 3 half chances to equalise. And I mean, a couple of them were really good half chances, which would Kevin Horlott, of course, formerly of Ipswich Town Parish, their manager, said afterwards he was trying to kick them in the net himself, and then they went up the other end and got a second right, the last kick of the game, Burton. But look, great day out for the Needham fans. Made a lot of noise, sung lots of rude football chants like they do. They never do in non-league, but as soon as they get to a league ground, they start effing and jeffing. But you never hear it at the Bloomfields. But there you go. That's how it all sort of. But they were great. Saying that joking apart, the fans were absolutely brilliant. And yeah, good for Needham Market. Great FA Cup run. Nice to see.
And how good was Ross Crane?
Crane had a good. They all had good.
Of course he did.
Of course he did. I didn't do match ratings, but no, he did. They all did fine. Ross Crane was excellent. Marcus Garn was outstanding, the goalkeeper. Yeah. Now I know Marcus very well. And he's actually been on our pods before, and he won't mind me saying he always gets taken the mickey out for you fat, this, that, and the other from the away fans. But Marcus. And he took all that. He loves it. He loves it. Encouraged ideas of the goal. He turned around and want to give it some more, But he makes some brilliant saves. I mean, some really good saves.
He's a really good keeper, isn't he?
He's a top keeper. And Needham did well. And Ross Crane, like the rest of them, was excellent.
How many fans did Needham take in that away end? I
think they took out 4. They're actually in the side. They were next to the press box. Where the press box was to the right was where they all sat. About 300 or 400 or 400 of them, I suppose. And they made they were brilliant. They made lots of noise. They didn't stop. Probably because I was sitting quite close to them, I heard them, but they were certainly, I just love it when they start singing songs that you hear at like league grounds that they never sing at non-league grounds. But this is an S-hole. We want to go home, that sort of thing. I never sing that when Hendersford come to Bloomfield. But they get into the atmosphere of the league. But they were excellent fans. Didn't stop supporting Needham from start to finish. So.
It's a good point about Needham. Ipswich fans who've really enjoyed and fallen in love a little bit with Bracknell. You've got some top non-league clubs on your doorstep, like Needham, a similar level of football, good facilities. Ipswich fans really enjoyed their pre-season day out at Needham back in the summer. So if you can't get to all the away games, you've got a really strong non-league scene on your doorstep in this region. I think most people know that, but... Yeah, maybe that will light a fire with one or two that might start taking in the odd non-league game in Suffolk.
Good shouts to you. Needham, of course, at exactly the same level as Bracknell, and plenty of town links. You've got Horlock, you've got the Crane train, clearly. Kieran Morphew, Byron Lawrence when he's back, Needham player, obviously Leiston as well at the same level. So there are options there. Right then, friends, shall we move on to something a bit different? From the FA Cup to another cup, the World Cup, which is complete nonsense. Shouldn't be happening in Qatar. Shouldn't be happening this time of year. But anyway, it is happening. I won't go off on one. And Hutchie, we may have an Ipswich Town player there. The well-manicured, well-maned Wes Burns finds out tomorrow if he's going to be part of the Welsh side.
Yeah, he has no idea how he will find out or when. And he certainly says he has no idea at this point whether he's in or not. But he, 7:00 tomorrow night, Wes, on BBC One or S4C, and you'll find out if you're in the World Cup. Though I imagine you might get a nod before finding out live on TV. But yeah, it'd be a big day for Wes. When he was playing at Fleetwood Town before moving to Ipswich, I imagine the World Cup was probably quite a long way from his thought process. But he's obviously had a brilliant first season at Ipswich and really propelled himself forward in his career over the last 18 months, and that could get capped with a call up to the Welsh squad for a really special tournament for Wales as well. It's been an awful long time, as we all know, since Wales went to the World Cup. So that would be massive for him if he can get himself into the 26-man squad.
How do we rate his chances, Hutchie? I'm afraid I'm not particularly au fait with the Welsh football squad. Has he got a decent chance?
He sounds like he's right on the bubble, right on the 50-50 bubble as to whether he gets in. I think there's an injury to Norrington Davis from Sheffield United, who can play left side centre back and left wing back. And actually, Wes has played a fair amount of his football on the left side for Wales, and the fact that Norrington Davis is the only other left wing back option that Wales had means that Wes could be going as the kind of the backup left wing back, and that would be his route into the squad. But it really does sound like kind of right on the edge for him. Proper last minute.
Has anyone ever played at Bracknell Town and in the World Cup within the space of the same month?
This is why you earn the big money.
Unlikely.
Brilliant question.
This is why you earn the big money, Watson. There's some stats for you.
He'd get the big money if he could answer the question.
Yeah, true.
I quite confidently probably say no.
Didn't the Brazilian Ronaldo do that once in the summer of '98? I think Brazil played a warm-up game at Bracknell, didn't they?
Did they?
Yeah.
You're not sure, are you, Watto? You're not sure. Right then. So that's tomorrow. Was it 7:00? You say that comes out?
So yeah, sounds like it. Live from Robert Page's hometown in Wales.
Look forward to that. We'll find out then, as Wes will tomorrow. And one final cut before we move on, Hutchie. The big one, the one which doesn't have human rights issues, the Milka Cup. We've got some latest results, haven't we? Just to bring the fans.
Yeah, for all you Milka fans out there, I've got some too loud. It always goes too loud on here when you play it. I can bring you the qualifying round results now. So these teams are all in the group stage, which is now to be drawn soon along with Ipswich. So I'm going to flash them up here, and I'll read out the qualifiers for you. You got Hammarby of Sweden, Hapoel Haifa of Israel, St. Pat's Athletic from the Republic of Ireland, Spartak Trnava of Slovakia, Budućnost Montenegro, Tre Fiori of San Marino are through. Levski Sofia are a big team in this competition, actually. Have beaten your Red Imps, I'm afraid, Mark, and progressed through to the group stage. Rakov Czestochowa, Mike, who I imagine you might have a bit of an affinity with them. Big speedway town, Czestochowa.
I've been to Czestochowa Speedway.
Yeah, and there we are. They're now in the group stage of the Milka Cup.
Brilliant.
Along with Benfica under 19s are out. Kiraspor of Turkey are through. B36 Tórshavn of Faroe Islands. FK Hagelman of Lithuania. Sadly, the New Saints of Wales are out. USV Eschenmuren of Liechtenstein. Rijeka from Croatia. Zira FC of Azerbaijan. Yeah, that is Azerbaijan, not Kazakhstan. KUPS of Finland and Vikingur up the Vikings of Iceland. They're in the group stage. So that's to be drawn in the coming weeks. And Ipswich will find out their group.
Oh, come on. It's got to be Vikingur against Town. Come on. And Vikingur didn't just go through, Hutchie. They absolutely smashed their way into the next round.
They're on form. Gunnarsson is on fire for them at the moment.
What a player he is. And while we mentioned Milka, Hutchie, you had a special gift via airmail, did you not, this week?
Yeah, this was weird. I went and collected the car from our office yesterday, and I walked in, and Clarissa, one of our sort of heads of news here, just told me that you've got a package. Now, I'll be honest, I assumed it was going to be some kind of manscaping equipment, because that seems to turn up every 3 to 6 months. I haven't had a new and inventive way to shave myself turn up for a little while, and it was an air packet, airmail package from the United States of Milka.
Beautiful.
Can you not buy Milka in this country?
Oh, you can.
Oh, you can.
If you don't live in this country, you might struggle to buy it. It's a big Euro choc, I'd call it, the iconic Euro choc. But I know who it's from as well. It's from Daryl, our old friend of the show, number one, Daryl, who has delivered. It turns out he's working for Milka as like in marketing, and he's been part of the sponsorship deal that set it up. But yeah, this arrived, and they're very tasty. And there's four little flavors of Milka in there, and they're all very nice.
Well, save them, Hutchie. Obviously, they're for us, and we've got a road trip coming up next week. So
addressed to me, so we'll see.
I've got to say, Daryl messaged me to say he'd sent a package addressed to you. Make sure Hutchie gets it, he said. Want to keep morale up. And I felt quite jealous and left out when he said, I said, you just worried about Hutchie then? What's going on? He's obviously you're obviously his favourite, Hutchie.
Wow. It's what it is, isn't it? It's all commercial stuff. Also, Daryl has come up with a really good idea for the Papa John's as well.
Is this the flag thing?
Yeah, the corner flags need to be painted as slices of pizza. The corner quadrants need to be pizza slices.
What pizza?
Just normal margarita pizza, just plain. Don't mess about with toppings.
I don't think that will instantly recognisable as pizza though. I think if you go with pepperoni,
it's got to be pepperoni. Yeah,
that looks like pizza. Then
do you reckon? Well, you could extend it further. I think you could extend it further. There's a suggestion that maybe, you know how like in the Champions League they have the big Champions League ball that covers the centre circle. That's got pizza written all over. It's got pizza written all over it. Easy. Then he's also thought the D on the edge of the penalty box. It's a calzone. It's just options galore that Papa John's are just not leaning into. Like what? Why have they sponsored this competition?
Not taking it seriously.
They've got so many things they could do, and they just don't bother.
Do you know what? Do you know what we made at the weekend, boys? A slight digression. While we're talking about pizza in a terribly middle class sort of way, with our pizza oven, we made 2 blonde pizzas. We had a bacon, sage, and apple pizza, which was absolutely tremendous. Basically, like a sausage roll on a pizza. And we also had one of our favourites, which is shredded Brussels sprouts with garlic and lemon oil drizzled on top. Absolute winner. There you go, Mike. I can see you.
I've never seen that. I've never seen that on a menu. Brussels sprouts, and I've never a pizza shop I've gone in. I've never seen a. You've
never dined at Heath Towers.
What's a blonde pizza?
No tomato sauce, old friend.
Okay.
Blonde.
It sounds utterly awful from start to finish.
Wow.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's an absolute delight. And if you're slightly more civilized, you'd realise that. Anyway,
I'm not into it. I'm not into messing around with your sauce on a pizza. A really good quality tomato sauce is all I want. Watson messes about with sauce. Look at him. He look like he's an upstanding member of society, but he's a bit of a deviant when it comes to pizza sauces.
I do like a barbecue base, but I do want some sauce. I don't want a plain pizza, and that is what we're describing here. Don't call it a blonde pizza. Call it a plain pizza. It sounds like dough.
It's got cheese. It's got cheese on it. It's cheesy.
They do kind of like sauces with almost like a bechamel on. I've seen people do that for a pizza. I'm not up for that either.
Let's open our minds, shall we, to the bounty that's out there. Things you can put on pizza. That's the beauty of pizza. It's literally utility. It can be savoury. It can be sweet. It can be all manner of things. It doesn't just have to have tomato sauce with a bit of pepperoni.
Sounds dry.
Chuffy wouldn't have any of this. I mean, you don't know who Chuffy is, but I'm telling you, Chuffy would be horrified with this conversation. Quite frankly, he really would.
We need to explain who Chuffy is, don't we?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not going to tell you who he is. No, you'll have to look him up. Chuffy, That's all you got to do.
Chuffy Spain. Look him
What
up.
what's Chuffy? What's Chuffy putting on a pizza?
Chuffy puts everything on a pizza, but he wouldn't put Brussels sprouts. I'll tell you that right now. No
Well,
way.
He's got no culture, the lad Chuffy, as his name suggests.
Chuffy sounds like he might be the kind of bloke that does a very, very thick bass. Is he going quite thick on his bass?
No, not too bad. Not too bad. Former Argentinian footballer. So there you go. There's a bit of a football link here.
Old Chuffy.
Chuffy.
Number 8, 78 side.
Right done.
Yeah. Right then, friends. Mike's just mentioned they're searching for Chuffy Spain, which leads us on perfectly to our sponsor, Ginger Pickle. Social media marketing. Ginger Pickle. Get the badge in, boys. I know you're not wearing your sponsored gear today. I'm the only shameless one doing so. We launched it last week. You haven't got one? No, we didn't think you'd wear one, Mike. Also, Tony Southgate actually left you out. So there we go. Sorry to break it to you. But yeah, Ginger Pickle, our new sponsor. We talked about them last week. We launched the competition. You can win tickets to the Fleetwood game on December the 2nd, 2 pairs of tickets. Go and check out our Twitter and Instagram accounts for how to do that. Essentially, you have to share a post and then tag someone you're taking, usual sort of stuff. But 2 pairs of tickets up for grabs. And as part of the sponsorship chat we had with Tony, Mike, Ginger Pickle, as I say, digital marketing, SEO, search engine optimization, Chuffy, Spain, Google Ads, social media marketing, and all sorts of training. Tony asked us if you, Mike, could talk about what you think Ginger Pickle might offer. SEO, what do you understand by SEO? We know that Tony is an expert in such things, and you are slightly less knowledgeable, shall we say. What would you say about SEO and digital marketing? You like the sound of it?
Love it. I'd say search engine optimization you're talking about, aren't you? That's what it's all about. So if you want to search for something like, I want my pickle and I want it ginger, you put that in Google, Ginger Pickle will come up at the top because Tony will have made sure Ginger Pickle is at the top. Bit like Mike Bacon, Ipswich Witches, always at the top of everything. Stuart Watson, Ipswich Town, top of everything. Ginger Pickle is right up there. Just Google Ginger Pickle and you will see what this man can do, what they do and how they do it. And it's
superb
every time.
If you want your pickle ginger, just search for that. I'm hoping the boys look like they're searching for something. I'm hoping they're either searching for Chuffy at Spain.
I think we're both doing the same thing, aren't we, Stu?
Yeah, I've Googled Chuffy Spain and the phrase that Mike just used as well.
Oh,
about wanting his pickle gingered. That one was a bit of trepidation when I put that one into Google, but it's fine. It's just recipes how to pickle ginger.
Oh, pickle ginger is good, actually. To be fair,
I've got a jar of it downstairs.
On a biscuit. Yeah, fantastic stuff.
So
I like the logo. I like the logo. The logo's cool, isn't it? I like the Ginger Pickle logo. It's good.
Gets the bacon seal of approval.
Yes, absolutely.
So there you go. What was the strapline you just thought up on the fly there, Mike? What was it?
If you want your pickle ginger, search Ginger Pickle.
Hey, there we go. Superb. All of which then just leaves us to discuss one more thing, boys, before we end the show today, as we approach an hour of gold, which is, of course, news, friends, that myself, Andy, and Mike are going to have to face a difficult decision coming up now. Do we, friends, start forking out for our blue ticks on Twitter? Stuart can finally get one if he's willing to pay for it. They're giving to anyone now, Stu, so you're in. But boys, do we we'll have to continue paying for our it's what is it, £8 a month, I think, for the blue tick to be official?
I think that might. I don't think that's something I'm going to be paying. I'll be honest.
Absolutely no chance of paying £8 to have a tick.
People are going to know now. If you keep it, they're going to know that you're that vain.
Yeah.
That you. Oh, he's paid £8 for that. What a ginger pickle!
It's one of many bell end indicators that are out there in society, isn't it? If you've got a personalised number plate, for example, that's a big indicator. If you've got a blue tick from now on, once you have to start paying for it, that'll be a big one. If you wear deck shoes with no socks, that's another one. I could go on. Boys, what do we feel about Twitter as a whole? Because clearly there's been a mass exodus to Mastodon. Is that something you reckon we should be jumping on, Mike? Mastodon?
Well, it does sound extremely interesting, Mastodon. I did actually read. I did read this somewhere the other day about this Mastodon. I was going to Google it, but I thought I'd better not, just in case I get myself in trouble and it's some sort of weird sort of word that I'm not supposed to look up. What do I think of Twitter? I love Twitter. There's nothing I love more than putting something on like match ratings or Speedway opinion or something like that, just to be shot down as a complete and utter idiot who doesn't know anything that he's talking about. A complete knob. Why don't you get off and go and do something properly? So I love it. I can't get enough. I could tweet all day, to be honest. I love it so much. It's absolutely brilliant. And I'd pay $160 a month to have my blue tick, to be honest, Elon, whatever your name is. And I really would, because I think it's absolutely wonderful. So yes, please.
I'm sorry, Mike, for sending you those tweets. I shouldn't have done that.
It was you, was it?
Yeah, and you will now probably find yourself suspended from Twitter, by the way, because you
know.
criticised Elon Musk, and that's what he's going around banning everyone who's criticised him. Did you see, by the way, he's saying that any account that's not clearly labelled as a parody account will also be suspended because it confuses people. If only there was a way, boys, you could somehow verify that it was the person actually behind the tweets. Wouldn't that be wonderful? If you could make sure it was this person they claimed they were. There must be a way of doing that. Anyway, I digress. Friends, anything else to discuss? We've covered a lot of ground. We've gone from Bracknell to Burton to the World Cup to the Milka Cup to Mastodon to Blue Ticks to pizza, blonde or otherwise. And now we find ourselves here after an hour of red hot chat and debate. Anything else to discuss, boys?
No other business from me.
I can't get my head around Brussels sprouts on a pizza with no sauce.
Nor can I, Stu. Do you know what, Stu? I was just about to say the same thing.
I work with such infidels. Try it, friends. Try it. You basically got shredded. So it's shredded Brussels sprouts on a base of cheddar, kind of mixed cheese, cheddar mixed cheese, and then you make an oil, lemon and garlic oil, and you drizzle it all over, and it is absolutely wonderful. One of the best.
Do you have
things
salad cream with it?
God no. Who eats salad cream? What would you have
salad cream's terrible.
Absolutely awful.
Just saying.
Stu, you open your horizons, widen your horizons on the pizza front. I'll get you a blonde pizza when we're in Manchester next week. I bet they have them there.
Okay.
Deal. Mike, anything else to mention on the pizza front or otherwise?
No, nothing from me.
How's your book going?
Well, it's Christmas, isn't it? I mean, everybody should be
now?
Putting their orders in now. I mean, I'll sign them. I mean, Amazon on it. 38 sleeps. I keep telling you, it's there. It's going. It's rising up the thriller charts. It's now 451,826 in the thriller charts. So
that's big.
Yeah, thank you.
My copy's been all over Europe with me.
How's it, Andy?
Yeah, it's been to quite a few different countries. It's a well-travelled book, both from me reading it and my wife.
38 sleeps. Amazon, is it, Mike? And you will literally write anything in there for a small fee.
I will do anything. Yeah, don't worry. I'll sign. I'll say whatever you like in the book at the front of it. I'll put anything down.
Superb. There we go. What more could you say as you start looking towards Christmas? Get that right at the top of your Christmas list. 38 sleeps, Mike Bacon. Sequel coming soon, I assume, Mike.
Absolutely, it's on its way. Yeah, and there's no pizzas in it either.
Excellent. Superb. Thanks for joining us today, friends. I hope you enjoyed it. We covered a lot of ground. We'll be back later on this week to build up towards Cheltenham back in League One at home. Seems like a little while since we've been at Portman Road. Please reminder, obviously, to support our sponsors, Manscaped. Use the code KOA at manscaped.com for 20% off and free delivery. And also, if you want your pickled ginger, Google Ginger Pickle and get all your marketing needs covered, Mike. That's correct, isn't it?
Correct.
And also follow us across all social medias, Kings of Anglia on Mastodon, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube and Instagram. And have a good start to the week. And we'll be back later on to talk to you again. Speak then, friends.